I went on a walk today. My uncle was going to go to the zoo, but I'd already gone there like a week ago, just for an hour and a half, but we went somewhere else, and then we went to the zoo for an hour and a half, and I just feel like I didn't feel like going all the way down there just to do something I did 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago. And then he was going to take me somewhere else, or I was going to go somewhere else. He doesn't drive, so I would have had to pay £18 to go to this place. And all he does is sit in restaurants, which would have been good. He would have probably bought me a £10 or £12 meal. Probably would have bought me a drink as well. But yeah, the idea of just spending £18 on a train ticket just to go and sit in a restaurant just doesn't really I wanted to do a walk, so I went and I found a cycle path that goes through lots and lots of cycle paths, and it actually goes straight to Sutton Coldfield, which is a really big park. But yeah, it's about a 50-minute cycle, so it's not close. But you could get it a bit closer during the road if you cycle on the roads. I usually always cycle on the roads, but cycling on the roads makes me feel like I don't want to cycle because I'm a very bad cyclist, and the chance of me getting run over is probably very high because I take way too many risks when I'm cycling. So it's nice that I can get to the park through a road, through cycle paths basically, and back. And it's also a lot prettier because there's like, when you're going for cycling on the road, it feels like you're going from A to B. But if you're cycling through paths that have like lots of green areas and lots of grass, it makes you feel like the journey is part of your daily activity. So I enjoyed that way because it felt like I was enjoying the cycle. And then as soon as I got to the park, I got to do a 3-hour walk, and then I came back. But yeah, I'm still quite tired though because it's like 50. That's about 5 hours. If you do a 3-hour walk, well, it'll take you an hour to get there and an hour to get back, and the walk itself takes a long time. So, but yeah, I just want to talk about the preachers that came to my house a few weeks ago, came back, and it was a bit shocking almost because they were like, "Oh, we've done research into what you've said." So I gave them a flyer and a booklet that had my website and information about what I was saying, and I talked to them for about 45 minutes going on about how the name proves that who she is, Anna is the name, and then listing all the things that link to this name, and listening and talking about how she's Eve, and how she's how the Christ in the Bible is actually about her, but the Bible is deceptive. I had a very, very long conversation with these people. I noticed that they were still preaching because I saw them walk past my door about a week ago, so I know they hadn't stopped preaching. But yeah, they came to my door and were like, "Oh, we've done research into this Anna," and I was like, "Okay." So I was expecting them to be like, "So you think you're this Anna?" They know my name was Anna, and they know that this person that I'm worshipping is Anna, but I always refer to myself throughout the whole 45 minutes as being a different Anna. Like I just saw her online, and I was following her videos, and I know a lot about her religion because I've been listening to her. So I was always talking to myself, talking about this person on, as a third person. But if you look at my website, you will see that I'm clearly just talking about myself. And if you watch my YouTube videos, you will clearly see that I'm talking about myself. If you go on my Facebook page, you will clearly see my picture and the fact that I'm talking about myself. And yet they came to my door to say that they know who I'm talking about because they've done research. And then they showed me a Wikipedia page of Inanna saying, "This is the God you worship." No! It's like, how stupid can humans be? It's like a God only exists if it's on Wikipedia. It's just such a low state of mind that this person worships Anna, and okay, Inanna isn't actually Anna. It says in Anna, but she probably got the name wrong, even though she had a big long conversation about the importance of Anna being the name, and even B. I'm pretty sure I said B as well, making out that this was a different Anna B, and I was just Anna, but I didn't give my surname. But yeah. And then for them to come to my house and just say we've done research, and yet they had no clue that I was talking about myself, proves that they hadn't done any research. They didn't look at the website, they didn't look at my YouTube page, they didn't look at my Facebook page. They had only just looked up the word Anna, goddess, and they found this tiny nothing god. Inanna is a god that I inspired to be nothing if you want to believe that the God that I'm worshipping is nothing, you'll be like, oh yes, and Anna, that's the God that she's worshipping, and it's obviously a nothing God. And then I told them, I was just like, look, Diana is Diana. That's another version. Isis is I, and Gaia, Gia. The God that I worship is not one God. It's not a page on the Wikipedia. It's all of them. And she made Christianity. She's the God that made Christianity, but she's filled the Bible with flaws because it's supposed to. It's the Bible. It's the God that people want. Christianity is the God that people want, this loving, all-powerful, all-amazing, all God that just will help you in everything you do, but really it doesn't exist, and really she is a goddess, and the Bible is a trick. And I had a kind of a longish chat about it, and then the guy just kind of stepped in and was just like, well, our God is the God of the universe. And your God is just a lower God that you're worshipping. But our God has a plan, and our God loves you. And I was just like, oh my God. So you have come to God's house to tell God that she is not God, and that your God is the right God, and your God has a plan, and your God is, loves you and everything. And I was just getting more and more stressed out. And then I had to just like, I am this goddess that I'm talking about. And then I was getting kind of stressed. I was trying to keep calm. But yeah, this woman who came to my door reminded me of something you would see in like The Orphan. You know that you get these strict Victorian teachers. She reminded me of a strict Victorian teacher that wanted to whip people if they didn't believe in Jesus. She's not like that now, but I could imagine if she had a past life, that's the character she would have been. Some very strict religious teacher that would whip any child who didn't worship Jesus because they were of the devil. And I feel like whatever she is now, she's better than she was. But she's still in a very human mindset, a very, man, one-sided. This is the God we worship, and if whatever you say about your God, we are only going to be listening very carefully to see how we can try and turn your beliefs into our beliefs. And that's what it was. She was basically just listening to me, not for the sake of listening or believing or having any interest in wanting to believe, but just so she can be like, oh, that sounds very sad. Your God, how does your God make you feel? Yes, it makes me feel depressed. Yes, it does. Well, our God doesn't. Our God is better. Our God is this. And it's just like, go away, fuck off. You're welcome to come to my house if you're willing to listen to me, but if you're coming for the sole purpose of getting me to worship your God, that is not going to work, because I am this person, and I am not going to believe what you said, because I invented the God that you worship. And it was very, very stressful. And yes, and then just now, I've come back from the walk, and I've heard a bit more details about the Diddy's lawsuits. There's like 7. There was 7 a couple of days ago, and now there's another 7 to be added. And it's amazing how people can take information, mix it all together, and assume that it's all true. So the Murad guy, who reports very, very badly, he would take... There was a couple of cases that only 2 years ago. And then there was a couple of cases where someone was 13 and 17. From the sounds of things, there is no date on the person who's claiming this happened when she was 13, and the person who claimed it when she was 17. There's no dates on those two. So it could have been 10, 20 years ago. And then there's other cases that are about 22, from 22. And the way the Murad would report it would almost imply that they were all from 2 years ago. And there's just so many things he does in his reporting that is just very, very bad. So if 1 or 2 were from 2 years ago, he would say that this isn't a long time ago. All these things happened only 2 years ago. No, one of these, and then one of them happened in 2014. And none of these lawsuits are saying the most important thing. Okay, date is the most important thing. And okay, maybe 1 or 2 of them say the dates, but any case that does not have a date of when this happened, a date, a year, a month, a day, a year, a month, those are that you need to say that. If you're having a lawsuit about something that happened on a day, you need to give that day. I know you probably, I think also the location might be important, but if the location is someone's house, then you need to be a little bit careful about giving addresses away. But you would expect the date and the location, even if it's just someone's house, at Combs's house, or at a place, a restaurant that was named. And then you should angle the lawsuits based on how can you prove that this is the truth. One of them said that he lost his phone. There's no details. Did you ever get that phone back? How did you recover? If you've just lost your phone, you're not going to just, it's quite a big thing to lose a phone. So did you report it to the police? And there's no stories about what happened afterwards. One, they said afterwards she went to a shop and made a phone call, and that's how the story ends. If they look at phone records of that shop, would they be able to work out that this is the truth? And if this was 2 years ago, they might not even have phone records from 2 years ago if it's a landline on a shop. When you're saying stories, you need to show evidence of how you can prove that the story is true. Maybe this is just because this is the version that the public get to see, and maybe there is a more detailed version that is hidden from the public because it has more private details. But I feel like after is a very important thing when it comes to rape cases. The story shouldn't necessarily be the story. The story should be what you've done after I reported it to a friend, after I went back to my hotel and I told the people in there, after I went to the police. Why is no one talking about them reporting this to the police? I'm looking at it from a judgmental perspective, but that's how everyone should look at these things, from a judgmental perspective. I don't want to take sides, hence I don't want to go through a lawsuit page by page and say what I feel is wrong with this story that has been presented. I feel like there's a lot of things that I would want to know, such as why did they not report it, or if they did, what response did they get? How can they prove that? Because if there is a theory that Cassie's lawsuit was just for setup, Diddy knows people in the government and in high up in the police force. There's a lot of people that make rape allegations against people, and I know that the public is sick as fuck. And therefore, if there are 2,000 people calling up saying that they are happy to make a complaint against him, I wouldn't be surprised if they are all lying. I mean, maybe there have been some cases where they've gone to a party, they've actually been there, they've actually got pictures of something that happened, not bad, just of them talking or meeting or taking a picture of him. I'm sure a lot of them have this. It's fine to say I signed a disclosure, but this does not account for legal stuff. If you have been R-worded, then the disclosure, that does not count as part of the disclosure form. Disclosure form is, I've been told information that I have to keep secret. But if someone is R-word you, that is not information that you need to keep secret. That is something you must report to the police because it is a crime, and therefore, if none of these people have made a crime report straight after, then I would take none of them seriously. Okay, maybe you might wait a month. If you fear these people for whatever reason, you might wait a month. But if this was 2 years ago and they've only started now, even when Cassie made her report a year ago, why did they not report a thing then? Or maybe they did. So that's why I don't want to talk about the story, because maybe they did report it, and maybe there's just lots of things in these lawsuits that they're not saying. Maybe they're not including the part where they went to their family and told their family. Maybe they're not including the details about they did lose their phone. But if you've lost your phone at a party, I mean, technically you might have just lost it. It doesn't mean that maybe it was stolen. Maybe there's lots of people there that it's possible that someone stole it. And yeah, to have celebrity to call the celebrity A and celebrity B, If someone has done this to you, you want to shame them. You want to make them feel bad. You want to bring their name into this because they have wronged you and you want to shame them. So to make a lawsuit against celebrity A and B, this just sounds like some fairy tale, and you yourself haven't decided who that name is. I mean, I'm sure Busby knows who these names are, but why would they keep it quiet? Why would they keep something like that not known? And I think to say that you're, I think what if these cases can't be proven, if there isn't any crime reports on any of these cases, then I think Diddy has a big right to actually sue Busby for discrediting and taking shame into his name, or to take stories where people have made allegations and there's nothing to back it up. If something happened to you and it's horrible and it's affected your life, you would report it. You would tell someone. You wouldn't just keep it to yourself. And if you have just kept it to yourself for years, then I feel that is actually evidence that it never happened to you. And now that you are seeing a sort of bandwagon of people making claims, you're just sort of saying, hey, I want to make a claim too. Why? Because I want some publicity. But a lot of these aren't even reporting their own names. So yeah, I'm not falling for it, but I don't want to insult it either, because I don't know Diddy. That's the answer. But yeah.